Namaste, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny. Good morning. I am in the Jeep today. I wanted to show you a cool thing about being a Jeep owner real quick. You see this little guy? That's called a Jeep duck. So those of you that own Jeeps, you probably know that over the last couple of years, some sneaky people have been leaving ducks on your Jeep. So this is called being ducked. And I have about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ducks behind this camera on my dashboard. I also have a small stuffed unicorn hanging from my rear view mirror. So you need a little magic in your life. Yeah, so today I wanted to talk about sleep, circadian rhythms, the time change. We just had the equinox. And this is when, at least in the northern hemisphere, the clocks go backwards. This is when we have the fall equinox, and then within about 6 weeks, the clocks go backwards again. So there's a lot of shifting with our circadian rhythms at the moment. And you know, when you talk about time change and circadian rhythms and all of that good stuff, mostly I want to focus on the time change that we keep subjecting ourselves to twice a year. The history of it's interesting. A lot of people are just told it was to make the farmers happy. You know, so I was always like, farmers schmarmers, let's just keep the time the exact way it is and let's not change it. And I used to actually love daylight savings time because of the longer evening hours. But as you become an adult and you have to get up every morning and go someplace, you know, your body feels it. And what's so interesting is that the way that we work, the way that people work, at least for the most part, is they've got their job and they usually show up at the same time every day, even though the sun is rising later and later. I mean, I think by the time we get to the time change in November, the sun won't rise until 10 of 8 where I live. So you got this like disparity of time as we move through the year. And it's almost as if we're never really in sync. So what does that do? Going to work the same time every day as the sun's day lengthens and shortens throughout the year. You get disconnected from what's called your natural circadian rhythm. So what's a circadian rhythm? Well, your eyes are a big part of that. So when you're outside, when you're exposed to natural sunlight and in some cases artificial light, your body responds by secreting a hormone called melatonin. And there's a place called the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your hypothalamus. And when the photoreceptors in your eyes catch light, they interact with that part of your brain, releasing melatonin, causing the release of cortisol to wake you up. So that's why through certain times of the day you feel energized, you have energy, you're not sleepy, and then certain times of the day you just can't keep your damn eyes open. But, you know, how do you maximize these cycles in order to, you know, be the best person that you are? And sleep is really important. Now, coming from someone who, you know, does 24-hour shifts and 3 days a week for, you know, the week that I have to be on, sleep is a strange thing. Like, I can't really be attached to sleep. I have to kind of go into this phase where if I'm awake, I'm awake. If I'm tired and I have to do something, I have to wake myself up in order to do it, and to do it coherently and safely and all of that good stuff. So sleep is a big deal. And then, you know, the days are getting shorter and shorter now, so we're going to start feeling it. But my question is, why do we have to change the times anymore? Why do we have to do that? Can't we just leave it and stop changing it? Because it's not necessarily one time frame or the other. It's not daylight savings and it's not standard time. That really is a problem. Most people can get used to a time change within a week or two. But 2 times out of the year, we change the clocks, and for a week everybody's disoriented. You know, it's almost like a bit of jet lag. So let's put everybody in jet lag and see how they do for the next week. And there have been studies that every time we change the clocks, there's more accidents, there's more heart attacks, there's more disruptions in sleep. And so I'm just like, why are we doing this to ourselves? It seems so silly. And one of the things I thought about that we could potentially do to combat this time of the year, which comes twice, you know, we get almost 8 months of daylight savings time. So we're on this later hour of the clock. But then they switch it back for, what, 4 months or something like that. It's almost not even worth it to enjoy that extra hour of sleep, because literally within, you know, 15, 16 weeks, you've got to switch your clock forward again and you lose your hour of sleep. So it almost seems sinister. One of the things I thought about doing was seeing if we can change what time we go to work based on this daylight savings time. I don't know if you own a company or if your company is cool with flexible hours, but if there's a way that you can adapt your own schedule to be more with the natural light, I think the better health people will have. That's my whole point. So for example, let's say we get our hour back here in about a month. Cool, great, everything's wonderful. But then March is coming, okay? And we're gonna lose that hour again. But what if you and the people you work with said, you know what, we're just gonna come in an hour later during the summer, during those summer months. That way you don't really lose that hour. You just adjust to the powers that be that want to change the clock. I almost suspect that there's something sinister about it. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel natural when we go switching the clocks around. So that brings me to my final point, which is sleep health. Sometimes our minds can get in the way and start causing disruptions in our sleep cycle. So you want to make sure that even if you're laying down and you're not sleeping, you know, you're not letting, you know, the melatonin's not turning on, you're not going to bed, you're uncomfortable. Menopausal women have a tough time sleeping because their body temperatures go up and down, up and down. I mean, it's crazy, the sleep disturbances that people have. Sometimes people snore or they have sleep apnea, so sleep is sometimes dangerous for them. But in general, if you're a healthy person and you normally sleep well, but you're having problems sleeping, you have a big day tomorrow, there are things that you can do to help yourself, you know, get through either the next day or whatever it is that you need to do. So if you're laying there and you're staring at the ceiling and the sheep are numerous and you just counted to, you know, 500 and you're still not sleeping, just breathe. Just close your eyes and say, I am getting as much rest as I need. I am getting as much rest as I need. I do this. I am getting as much rest as I need. My body is resting. My body is resting. You have to literally make your mind, force yourself to believe that you are resting. There's also breathing techniques that you can do. Sometimes eating a little bit of food before you fall asleep will help induce the melatonin cycle. You can also supplement with melatonin. But you want to be careful when you do that because you can be habituated to melatonin, meaning that your natural producers of melatonin will cause you to down-regulate natural production of it if you have too much melatonin in your system. So if you're used to taking a melatonin every single night, you lose your melatonin, you will have to readjust, and there might be a period of not regular sleep because of it. So again, it all comes down to really knowing how your body feels when it comes to your circadian rhythms, what feels good for you, what feels natural for you. Some people are night owls. Some people like to get up before the sun. Some people would prefer to just sort of sleep when they need to wake up and go to bed when they're tired. And you know what? I honestly think that's the best way to do it, except work gets in the way. You know, we have to go places, we have to do things, we have to fulfill our obligations, we have to get the littles to school, all that stuff. So in a way, we've kind of built a structure that doesn't really align with our natural body rhythms. And over time, it can cause some serious problems with your health. I would suggest that, you know, the work week too. Like, so if you're in a work week, don't overprogram your work week. If you know that you need to have rest at a certain time, carve time out for that. If you can negotiate with your work to make your hours more flexible for you, sometimes that can also help. You know, so You want to be an advocate for your own sleep. You know, this is kind of weird coming from me because I've actually had to detach myself from the emotional need for sleep. I have to, when I have to get up and do something, you know, to be the doctor on call, the only one in the house that's going to be able to make the decisions, then I have to wake myself up. I have to make myself do it. So adrenaline can help you do that. But, you know, I'm probably an exception rather than the rule. Most people have a normal schedule. Those of you that work night shift need to be particularly sensitive to your rhythms because you're off from everyone else. So you're going to be required to be awake when it's dark and asleep when it's light. And some people can adapt really well to that, some people can't. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. It's real important to protect your circadian rhythm as much as you can, given the structures that you're working with, you know, earning money and doing the daily schedule. This is also a time, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, for us to recede and rest. So even though you get your hour back, I wouldn't overuse it. I wouldn't, you know, act like, oh, here we go, now we can do more, because you really, it's not an extra hour. We're just doing things a little bit later in the day now. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna go into work now. I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic day. Stay tuned for my new moon solar eclipse report and meditation. Check out the Uranus class. It's for a good cause. The instructor we have is top notch. You all should check out the live we did the other night if you want a taste of how that class is going to go. That is next Friday, literally in 9 days. So sign up, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I love y'all. Namaste.